Hello, everyone. Welcome to the July Show and Tell presented by our team here at FS. So glad you're with us. I know for those of you who are in the US, it's a short holiday week. So we're really excited for those of you that are able to jump on today. If this is your first time joining us for Show and Tell, which I'm sure it is not, this is a monthly webinar that our team does. It's just a really casual roundtable of things that are currently inspiring us. And typically, we ask about 8 to 10 of our fellow editors from around the world to jump on and just share things that are currently in our zeitgeist, as we like to say. Typically, a lot of the things that we see in these meetings do continue to kind of add to various patterns that we're noticing here at our agency. And typically, they do become things like color trends and macro cultural trends and whatnot later on. So there is a method to the madness. We do these on the first Wednesday of every month. So please do join us next month in August as well. Before we jump into today's links, just a few housekeeping tips. We will, of course, share the recording of today's presentation with you in a follow-up email later this week, along with all of the links that our team will share today. So don't worry about jotting them down. We will follow up with you so that you will be able to refer back to them. We, of course, always have our show and tells along with all of our other webinars on our YouTube channel. So just search Fashion Snoops on YouTube. Of course, you can also find them on our homepage as well. And we do love to hear from you during today's webinar and all webinars. So please just use your chat box, and of course, make sure to use the pull down and choose everyone so everyone can see your question or your comment. But let us know what resonates with you, if you're familiar with things, if they're new, if you love them, if you don't love them. Everything is good in Show and Tell. And one other slide, we don't want you to miss an upcoming webinar that our team is doing July 27th in just a few weeks. This webinar is really interesting and exciting. It's a topic that we have not done in a really long time, how to track trends using social media. And this will also be an opportunity for you to get familiar with some other more recent tools that we have offered our clients on FS that makes it so that you can actually track trends in real time on social media. It's really exciting, but we have a few members of our team that will jump on during that time and just kind of share with you how you can more effectively track fashion, cultural, color, any kind of trend using social media. So that's July 27th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please register at fashionsnoops.com, just the same place you use to register for this webinar, and join us then. We will send out reminders as the month goes on so you don't forget. All right, I'm going to just jump over to our trends, our links really quickly. Give me 1 second. And I think my links are actually up first today. And by the way, I'm Michael Fisher, VP of Menswear. I usually host the show and tells each month. So funny enough that we just talked about social media and how to track trends. All three of my links today are kind of social media adjacent. So the first is a New York Times article that came out a few weeks ago that was very interesting to me, the rise of the 0.5 selfie. And that is how it's pronounced, 0.5. It's not pronounced half selfie or anything like that. So these are selfies that Gen Z specifically has been taking a lot recently. They're using the ultra wide angle lens on iPhones and other smartphones. The point of them is that they are meant to be kind of the opposite of a typical selfie in that it's very set up and very edited. These are meant to be the antithesis of that. So these are meant to be a lot more spontaneous and quirky, if you will. You'll notice that we've shared a lot of links over the last few months just about kind of the influx of quirkiness and whimsy in culture, in fashion, in color. And this is just another version of that. So the point of these is that they're meant to kind of be a little weird. Eyes are meant to be buggy. You're meant to be silly. It's definitely not taking selfies too seriously. And again, they do use the lens at a 0.5 zoom out, if you will, and that's where the name kind of came from. A few quotes that I just kind of wanted to pull out from the article for you. So you can kind of see some examples here, but some of the kids in the article said that, you don't really know how this is going to turn out. And that's what's so great about it. You just kind of trust the process because you're using the camera on the other side of your phone. So you cannot see it like a typical selfie. And that's kind of the whole point of it. Someone said, I just take it. I don't actually look at it until later. So it becomes more about capturing the moment versus seeing what everything looks like. Someone said, it does give a more casual look to the photo. There's a lot more creativity with the way that you angle and the way that you put it closer. So yeah, if you jump onto Instagram, you can even use this hashtag. You will find a lot of examples of this currently on social media. My next link is about brown noise and how it's become very, very popular on TikTok as of late. I was not familiar with this term brown noise, which was really interesting to me. But let me just kind of give you a quick background. So, obviously, white noise, we're all familiar with. We've been using it for years for things like meditation, studying, sleeping with insomnia, helping young children fall asleep faster. So there's now a new trend on TikTok called hashtag brown noise. So whereas white noise encompasses sounds from all over the spectrum, including low, mid-range, and high frequency notes, brown noise uses only low frequency and bass heavy notes. This makes brown noise much deeper in sound than white noise and much more ideal for those who find high frequency notes and white noise a bit uncomfortable, which is a common complaint. Both white and brown noise can occur naturally in nature. Gentle rain showers and crashing waves are example of white noise, while thunder and strong winds are examples of brown noise. TikTokers, especially those with ADHD, have been raving about the benefits of brown noise as opposed to white. While previous studies have shown the benefits of white noise on cognitive performance and verbal working memory in ADHD, the effects of brown noise are relatively understudied. So there's a lot of people that are trying to do some research on it. A lot of people find that brown noise is more effective in quieting your thoughts, allowing for better focus and productivity, while others prefer white noise for sleeping or just simply for the calming effect. And then I thought this was super interesting. There are also trends coming out of things like pink noise, blue noise, violet noise, and gray noise, all which operate on different spectrums. The point of this article on Mashable is that there are apps now where you can actually explore all the various different color noises. So there's this one called Noise Generator, which allows you to really customize your noise. You can actually see the sound color here. This one I thought was really cool here. It's called Noise Machine. You can actually choose brown, pink, etc., and then it kind of takes you through the process of what those are. There's a lot of other links on here that you can just explore on your own that take you to various ways to explore noise. But obviously, as trend forecasters, anytime that we can apply colors to noise frequencies is very interesting to us. And my third and final link today is something that really tickles me. There are a slew of articles about this in the last few days. I just chose one for you guys. So obviously there's a new Minions movie that just came out over the 4th of July holiday weekend here in the US. It is out in the UK as well. It's called The Rise of Gru. Gru is the villain that's been in the movies for years. So apparently all of these Gen Zers that have grown up with the movie, they have created this new social media TikTok and Instagram trend where it's called Gentle Minions. And it's basically young men who are teenagers. And what they're doing is they're dressing up in suits and going to see the movie, of course, capturing it for social media. The villain, Gru, in the movie always wears this very specific suit. And as these kids walk into the movie, they hold their hands like the villain. Some of them even bring bananas to the movie, like the villain eats in all of the movies, which is really great. The hand motion, the suits. They cheer loudly when the movie begins to play. What really was funny to me is a lot of theaters are currently banning anyone from wearing a suit to come to the Minions movie because some people complain that it's disruptive, which I find hilarious that actually they want to prevent these young men from dressing up and coming to the movie. So it's just one of these weird other dimensions of social media that I just find hilarious. To give you a quick stat before I show you a few of these, 34% of the movie's opening weekend attendance came from people between the ages of 13 and 17, which is way higher than the last movie that came out in 2017, where it was only 8%. So I thought that was interesting. And over the weekend, I think that in the US, I'm not sure if this is US or global, but it was $125 million in sales over the last long weekend, thanks in part to this social media trend. So I'll just show you a few of these. You can go on TikTok right now and find thousands of these, but you can kind of see all these boys are going to the movies in groups, and they walk up.
Hey Ben, la chichi, la papaya, do la potato, la potato.
I count money. I count money.
So yeah, there's thousands of these. And here's a sign that where theaters are preventing you from wearing a suit to go to the movie, which is just very funny to me. But yeah, all the guys go together. Here's another one.
Hey Ben, la chichi, la papaya, do la potato, la potato.
I count money. I count money. I count money. I fucking 100. I feel like
So yeah, as someone that works in menswear, I applaud them for dressing up and wearing beautiful suits to go see a cartoon movie. Which is really funny. So those are my links. All right, we are going to bring up Peter. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Michael. There seems to be a theme at today's show and tell because I'm also about to talk about social media. Although I have to say, I don't think my source is as visually engaging as your 0.5 selfies, but the message is most certainly interesting. So today I wanted to talk to you all about a book I read called Digital Minimalism. It's by Cal Newport, and it's a bit about choosing a focused life in a noisy world. And it's really fascinating. When we talk about our kind of social media usage, we often think of a nervous twitch, or to check our apps all the time, or this kind of never-ending scrolling. And I guess in conversation, this is often spoken to as a cultural phenomenon or the sign of the times. But instead, in this book, we look to the psychological roots to look for a solution so that we don't feel so overwhelmed all the time, which I think is really fascinating. People often go on a social media detox, but oftentimes those don't really tend to be as successful. So instead, in the book, there's a focus on optimization. Essentially, what the book is a guide to reset your digital life, which I thought was really interesting. But what's really fascinating about the book is that there's a survey in there that looks at behavior from 1,600 participants, who's all, they've all gone through the process and they've reset their digital lives. And it's really interesting to see how people deal with these limitations, especially that for, many of us, our lives are so, I guess, digital. A lot of us work online as well. But the idea is basically that you create these boundaries so that the time that you spend on your phone is a social activity rather than an isolating activity. So you take a 30-day break from all social media. And then after this time, you really evaluate and reflect. And then you start from this blank slate and reintroduce optional technologies that carry deep held values to you. So it's essentially like the Marie Kondo of technology, which I love. So, if the purpose of you being on social media is to be more connected with your friends, then according to the book, you need to kind of weigh up the pros and the cons. You might be catching up with what your friends are doing on Instagram, only to ignore the person that sits across from you at the dinner table. So digital minimalism invites all those kind of conversations. That is really fascinating. So there's a great summary of the book on the link provided. So if you want a kind of bite-sized taster of digital minimalism, then feel free to have a look. But I'm really excited to try out the method and see for myself, and I will most certainly be reporting back to you with how it's turned out.
Yeah, we want to update next month. I do love the term. It's really great. It's kind of a new version of a game many people have played for years. And if you're out with friends at a bar and everyone tries to put their phones down, the first person that looks then has to pay for dinner, pay for drinks, which is just a great exercise. But love this. We'll definitely look for this.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Peter. Appreciate it. Now we're going to move on to Anush. Hi, Anush.
Hi, Michael. I'm Anush, the Director of Accessories here at FS. And my first link is a new film titled Neptune Frost, directed by Saul Williams and Anissa Uzeyman. And it's a musical, it's a digital experience, it's commenting on generational consciousness. So it's kind of an interesting take on a different world they've created here. And the directors really call this a film for the curious. It's a story about a place that you don't know, actors you don't know, music you've never heard of, and in languages you've never heard of. And you know, speaking to and transcending the history of the Rwandan civil war in the early 90s. So there's a trailer below if you want to scroll down, Michael, and we can watch that. It's about 2 minutes.
Aho wenda uri kwibaza ute se ibi binyago ni ibiki? Igitekerezo cy'umusizi ku cyaba inzozi se? Dukikijwe n'urupfu. Ngiyi inyishyu ya nyangeso nziza.
Hano hari abakozi ba leta hano bose babuze impamvu yabyo. Biriya polisi yakoze muri kaminuza n'ibiki. Ibyo byose ntawe bihuriye n'amatora kuko uzatorwa arazwi.
Kameze nko mu wundi mugabane nta n'inyoni kamba. Ubuyobozi ahangaha bwarushijwe imbaraga n'ubutegetsi, barashaka kuyobora n'imitima y'abantu batugire nka za kadahumeka. One justice agony, one little black girl agony. Bizana ukuze.
Umuchukuzi ni byose, umuchukuzi ni byose, ahora mu kazi kose, ahora mu kazi kose, umuchukuzi ni byose, umuchukuzi ni byose, ahora mu kazi kose, ahora mu kazi kose. I'm not alone, that I need somebody.
Thanks. I thought it just was so visually stunning, interesting, really speaking to different societal protests that's going on in many places. And yeah, it just felt really like a special film. It looked like it played at Brooklyn Academy of Music last month. So I think the US debut has happened. So definitely look out for that.
I love the guy's vest made out of computer keyboard keys at the end. Super cool. The colors were beautiful too. I don't know if that was intentional, but
yeah, I think so. I think they were very intentional with how they were doing it. Saul Williams is a multidisciplinary artist, and this is part of a larger project that was a graphic novel, music. So this is
cool.
An expanded project for them. Yeah, and my next link is an exhibit at the British Museum in London called Feminine Power, the Divine to the Demonic. And it's taking an in-depth survey across cross-culture of the last 5,000 years of how female spiritual beings have influenced faith around the world. So it's containing artifacts, art, sacred objects, symbols of archetypal goddesses, demons, witches, spirits, and saints, and how different religious and spiritual traditions have incorporated these symbols and these pieces into their cultures. So covering a lot of different topics from the sinister to the spiritual. Just thought it was really interesting and speaking to our times also. So that's at London, and I believe it's traveling also in the next couple of years. So just look out for that if it's coming to your area.
I love this. Great confirmation of our mystic trend, kind of an interesting
Mhm.
pivot on that, which is really cool.
Yeah, and then my final links are speaking to a company that's made a really pivotal statement, I think, with the overturning of Roe versus Wade. And we all know and love Patagonia for how progressive they are. And on June 24th, they immediately made a statement talking about how they are offering support of the effects of this Supreme Court ruling for their employees and offering financial compensation and outlining how they are supportive to new parents. And there was a piece that I thought was really interesting. They have been pretty outspoken about encouraging employees to go and protest during this, what's happening in the US, and offering different links and different locations where you can connect with the peaceful protests, and even offering to pay bail for employees and informing them and educating them about voting and issues that are going on, giving time off to vote. So I felt like this was an amazing example of how a company, a brand, can really make a statement and support their employees and their team, and be a forerunner of when social issues like this come up.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's been a lot of various memes and things showcasing a lot of the companies here in the US that are trying to support women who work for them if they do live in a place where they now don't have the option to terminate a pregnancy. Dick's Sporting Goods is one of them. And there are many, many others that are trying to support women. And I have seen a lot of interesting people say that what's negative about that situation is that now it puts these women in the situation where they don't have the privacy in their medical decisions, and they now have to, in order to take advantage of these benefits, they have to tell their employer that they do wish to terminate a pregnancy. So it's kind of a whole thing. But yeah, I know this is a topic that we are thinking a lot about here internally, and have been meeting on. So thank you for sharing these.
Thanks, Michael.
All right, we're going to move on to our resident book expert, and that's Nico. Hi, Nico.
Hi, everyone. Nico here from the culture team. And Michael's right. I usually join show and tell and share books that I've been reading, but it's definitely been a minute since I jumped in. But I have a great book that I just read that I want to share with you called Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism by Amanda Montell. So I usually have the physical book that I'm showing, and I usually hold it up like I'm on QVC or something, but I'm currently away from home, so I have no physical book today. But Cultish basically examines the language that cults use to lure people in modern times, and how the author is a linguist, and she acknowledges that this is kind of a flimsy word that is hard to define and is thrown around quite loosely today. So in the book, she reviews some of the most famous cults of the 20th century, such as Jonestown and Heaven's Gate, as well as groups and brands that you may not recognize as cults, but have cultish elements to varying degrees, such as SoulCycle or multi-level marketing businesses. And in these essays, she demonstrates the role that language plays in their influence. So what's really interesting about cults and conspiracy theories in general is that they tend to surge when people are exposed to rapid change or uncertainty, right? It's when our trusted institutions can't provide us answers that make sense, or that their answers have been challenged by a new reality that we're experiencing. So we look to other places for that sense of belonging and truth. And this is why cults became so prevalent in the 60s and 70s. But it's also why they're kind of relevant today as well. I think it's a really important book today because, you know, whether or not we would categorize them as cult leaders, there are a lot of powerful people and organizations in the world today that weaponize language and our need for community to misinform people for their own benefit. You know, this could be a political leader, an influencer, or even a brand.
Love this. Gonna download it tonight. As anyone that joined Show and Tells know, probably the most common theme over the years has been our interest in cults, which is really macabre, but We do love us some cults at FS. We've actually even had some design aesthetics over the years that have been inspired by cults. So this is a must read.
Absolutely, yeah. And next, I wanted to share one of my favorite contemporary artists who's actually happens to be an acquaintance of mine, but this is totally
Nico, I don't have
unsolicited.
Sorry, Nico, I don't have a link here. So if
Oh,
you-
sorry. It's just those X's right by the link. It's like each of one of them is one of their
Oh, okay.
pieces. Yeah, so this is one of my favorite artists, and they're a Virginia-based painter named Samuel Richardson. So I've got the 3 pieces linked here that we can click on one by one. And then I really want to pause on the last one because it's my personal favorite. But Samuel does these amazing pieces that to me have this aura of anxiety and imminent danger, which really feel reflective of the sentiments of our present. Some of the recurring motifs of Sam's work are kitchens, like the first one that Michael clicked on. And there's these kitchens with these beautiful sceneries, but the sinks are about to overflow, or the oven has caught fire, or there's a boom in the distance, or there's a storm coming, or a UFO in the sky. And Samuel also likes to incorporate elements of digital life, like that GPS interface that we see in this one. And then Samuel has also played with this idea of time a lot recently by creating actual clocks out of his pieces, which if you click on, yeah, that last one, you see the inclusion of these clock arms into it. And this last one is actually my favorite because, like I said, all of Sam's work has this aura of imminent disaster and anxiety. But this one feels really different to me than the rest of his pieces because it feels like there's no more blue sky or beautiful sunset in the backdrop. It feels like that imminent disaster has already occurred and we're kind of standing on a hill as the smoke clears and thinking, you know, what's just happened? Has there been a nuclear war? Has there been a massive wildfire? Or has the center of the earth finally burst open? And am I the only survivor? It feels really ominous and silent.
I love this. Gonna definitely follow someone that loves apocalyptic scenes. This is cool. I actually think that this color in this one specifically is so impactful. It's dreamy but dark at once. Really, really good. Virginia based, right, Nico?
Yeah, actually from Richmond and another VCU grad.
Oh, great to know. Many of us.
This was actually in my phone background. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh yeah. Awesome. Love this. Thank you so much. Okay, and I'm sure she's going to have some opposite influences here. Mallory. Hi, Mallory.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Mallory. I'm a senior strategist for beauty and wellness. And before you click on the first link, because it's a trailer, let me just prep this new show that I'm obsessed with, which is the opposite of impending doom. So on the opposite spectrum of feel good, just enjoyment. This just popped up on my Netflix recommended the other night, and I gave it a watch, and I'm obsessed with it. It's called The Extraordinary Attorney Woo. It's a Korean drama about a young woman who has autism, and she is trying to become, she becomes a lawyer at a top law firm in Seoul. And it's just about how she navigates life, her career, relationships, and how she brings her unique skill set. And it's just a really sweet show. It's a wonderful watch. So we can click on that and see the trailer, and I'll talk a little bit more about it after.
제 이름은 똑바로 읽어도 거꾸로 읽어도 우영우입니다. 기러기 토마토 스위스 인도인 별똥별 우영우. 역삼요?
되게 재밌어요.
이 아가씨가 변호사예요?
우영우 정체가 뭡니까? 바보인 척하면서 우리 놀리는 거 아니야?
우영우 변호사, 건방지게 누가 누굴 가르치려고 드는 거야 지금?
야, 변호사는 그것만 잘하면 돼. 이 있습니다.
있습니다.
글쎄 눈에.
이런 인재를 한 바다가 안 데려오면 누가 데려옵니까?
나는 변호사님이랑 같은 편 하고 싶어요. 변호사님 같은 변호사가 내 편을 들어주면 좋겠어요.
이 있습니다.
as you can see, it's really, really sweet. I really highly recommend if you're looking for something feel good and interesting. Her name is a palindrome, so it's Woo Young Woo. So it's read the same backwards and forwards. So she has a fixation on palindromes. That's why she says like kayak, race car, all examples of palindromes. She has an obsession with whales, and I think they handle the subject matter in a really respectful, delightful way, and just how she uses her particular skill set to, see the world in a different way, which is also really fun about the show. It's kind of similar to The Good Doctor, which is another show that kind of deals with the same sort of premise. And it shows you how she sees the world in a different way, which is very interesting as well. So just another win for feel good representation in the media. So definitely give that a watch this week. And then next, because it is, of course, summer, I'm back again. I did this last year, back again with some of our recommendations for sun care 2022 and some of the latest trends. These are all pulled from our National Sunscreen Day report, which is live on the site for subscribers. But I'm just going to run through a few of the newness from that report. Again, we have so many, there's so much richness in the report. It's amazing. This is an area that we're so passionate about at FS Beauty and Wellness, because it just continues to evolve and become super interesting. If you want to go to the previous slide, Michael, just so I can quickly call out this brand, Naked Sundays, who we love. Their whole premise is like makeup priming sun care. So the product you see on the right is a completely clear sunscreen makeup priming serum. It's amazing. Like it mattifies and smooths the complexion, and they have a brush so you can apply it, and they also have a lip oil as well. So going into our first trend on the first slide, we're seeing a lot of these sun serums, which is interesting. I mean, we all remember this sunscreen we used to wear back in the day that was like very thick. It, typically would clog your pores, wasn't the most satisfying skincare experience. But we're seeing a shift now where brands are definitely trying to infuse more skincare benefits into products as well. So we see on the left Bloom Effects. This is a brand we love. They use tulip extracts in their sun care, and so they just debuted a new sunscreen. So it has their proprietary tulip extract as well as really strong sun protection. And on the right is a brand we encountered at Cosmoprof Bologna this spring. It's called Acne. Their line is about acne prevention. They have a unique set of benefits in all their products. And this product on the right is an acne serum and sunscreen in one. So it kind of tackles both at the same time. So a great way to add that multifunctional benefit to sunscreen. And so moving along to the next one, the other area that we're seeing huge innovation for are like these delicate areas that we typically forget to add sun protection to. Of course, eyes and lips are some of the thinnest, most vulnerable skin on the human face, and yet we are typically forgetting to apply a sunscreen to them. Wear SPF is an interesting brand founded by a professional golfer. So nice to see like an athletic crossover, and that's just for the lips. And then on the right is Hello Sunday, which is another Australian-based brand, not to be confused with Naked Sundays, but they're another great Australian brand, and this is their eye cream with SPF in it. So you can take care of your eye area and get that boost of SPF protection at the same time. And then moving to my last little call out, of course, inclusivity has remained a huge conversation because, again, thinking of the formulas of the past, several decades, they're very white. They leave a chalky film on the skin. They're not inclusive to darker skin tones. And so we've seen so many brands change, just like we love Black Girl Sunscreen, who of course has been changing the inclusivity game within sun care for several years now, but they just debuted this spray-on sunscreen that's completely clear, leaves no white cast, is amazing. And Murad also debuted their clear screen, which is blends into all skin tones. It's completely clear. And so consumers can be confident about using it and having the desired effect and the protection that they need. So there's so much more richness in the report. So subscribers, definitely be sure to dive into that. And everyone, wear your sunscreen this summer.
I love this, Mallory. I feel like you should be on the Today Show doing this kind of thing.
I love sunscreen.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move on to Danny. Hi, Danny.
Hi, everyone. And I agree with Michael. Mallory, you're a great spokesperson, and thank you for the reminder about SPF for the summer. I definitely need it. So hi, everyone. I'm Danny. I'm the women's wear strategist here at FS. So my links today have a denim focus. I've had a lot of denim on my brain over the last few weeks. So my first link here is the collaboration between the brand Nocesso and Levi's that just launched this past June. It's a gender-inclusive range of denim items that feature all the adjustable lace-up and zipper details. And Nocesso means no sex, no gender in Italian, and the brand aims to create items that empower people of all colors, shapes, identities, etc. And the functional lace-up and zipper details are what's really important here, as they make the pieces adjustable for any kind of consumer based on their body type or maybe their overall mood, depending on if they want or need a more looser or more fitted silhouette. And these types of adaptive details are crucial to the gender-inclusive community as a whole, and we believe this to really continue to drive the future of design for that community specifically. And further, this type of collaboration just helps normalize this kind of adaptive design process that we foresee more brands and designers continuing to adopt through the future. So just a great collaboration of items that are now available for purchase on Levi's. And then my second link is a fashion brand based in Nigeria called Nwoko, who's created a new material innovation called the Kala cloth that we actually use as one of our main influences for our women's seasonal narrative Wilding. This new African fabric is made with leftover denim pieces and utilizes Africa's long tradition of cloth weaving. This, of course, is always great to see and is a positive step forward in terms of sustainable solutions for the industry, as the brand aims to conserve natural resources as well as the resources of the local environment. The end product, as you can see, are just beautiful and intricate pieces that celebrate the rich history and cultural traditions of Africa. And all of this, both of these links here really kind of validate and connect to one of our sentiment colors for SS24 Indigo, which honors that artisanal practice of indigo dyeing. And to quote our founder, Lily, in a recent article she had contributed some quotes for on Sourcing Journal, she says, "We really believe in indigo. We believe in the return of denim stronger than ever before." So I know I'm definitely keeping denim on my radar, and we are here internally at FS. So everyone watching, we hope you are too. And then the last link is just a quick video we can maybe watch like a minute of Nwoko's video on the philosophy of less. That's just inspiring and a joy to watch. So let's tune in.
Check out this Verbo.
Oh, man. Michael, they're your cousins.
In the beginning was the Word, but then there was also a set of simple rules that kept the earth turning in a happy circle. Take, make, use, put back. Take, make, use, put back. And then man and woman discovered something new that threw everything out of sync. They discovered M-O-R-E, more. Take more, make more, use more, put back more. In other words, our overproduction and overconsumption has depleted the Earth's resources and has replaced them with things that the Earth doesn't want and doesn't know what to do with. This is also known as waste.
Danny, there's so much coming out of Nigeria. I think we've had a pretty good amount of links shared from there, especially their fashion week over the last year. So this is another exciting one to add to that.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much. And we move on to Tamara. Hi, Tamara.
Hi, everyone, I'm Tamara and I'm the Senior Strategist of Activewear. And the first thing I wanted to share today is speaking in color. So this is an AI-powered paint and color tool that is developed by Sherwin Williams, and that this tool can actually help you find a color based upon words, language, and personal description of a color. So you basically start with a very specific description, like for example, New York City sunset or crystal clear ocean water. And then this AI tool provides you with images of that particular setting and a specific color palette of the colors found in those pictures. And then you can basically start fine tuning per color. So you can say like, needs to be darker, you need to add more yellow or more green. And through the use of algorithms, colors are actually updated. So the idea behind it is to have as many people using it, of course, to create kind of like this worldwide color library that is based on intuition. So I just thought it was interesting to share, especially when we always are looking for new sources of inspiration and research tool. And I thought it was just like fun, kind of like playing around with it. I think if you go to the other link that I have on the deck, Michael, you kind of like can see how the interface looks. I don't know if it's not opening for me. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, that one.
That one. Do you want me to click the microphone?
So yeah, no, I don't think it will work because it's like taking the microphone over your computer, but you basically, need to push on the record button and kind of like describe like a scenery or something that is super inspiring. And then the colors kind of like pop up. So I highly encourage doing it like after the meeting because it's really like fun, especially if you love color and inspiration just as much that we do here at FS. So
well, let's try it. Let's play with it. Okay, so we'll say, oops, hold on. Okay. Deep Atlantic Ocean. Ah, interesting. Oh, look at that.
Yeah. And then you kind of like can see how much % of each color comes back in your imagery. And then you can really like fine tune the colors. So if you choose one, for example, you can click on it and then you can speak again and say it needs to be like more blue or a little bit more darker or more saturated or anything like that. So it basically helps you create your own dedicated color that you're looking for, which I thought was interesting.
And then you can name it. That's so cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Color harmonies. Wow, that's really neat.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought I would share that. And then my next link for today is the new collaboration between luxury fragrance brand Byredo and Artifact Studios. So they basically created a line of digital auras, as they call it. These are digital fragrances that can be worn within the metaverse and can be worn by our digital avatars. So these auras are designed in a combination of 26 different ingredients that kind of like represent different emotions. They want really the focus to be on a range of elements, and the idea is that like collectors can combine all of these different scents to make something entirely unique because they believe that the metaverse can definitely not be defined by one single scent. Which is interesting is they also launch like with every digital aura, they're kind of like real life fragrance counterpart. And I thought it was just interesting because we have been tracking, how different brands are going into the metaverse and how are they kind of like utilizing this new space to create more digital experiences. And I thought it was really interesting to see how they kind of like are creating these digital twins products. And definitely also in our research for Spring Summer 24, we are looking at multi-sensory experiences and how our concepts of our senses are evolving with sight, smell, and taste, and how are we going to like translated into the metaverse and into different realms. And I thought it was just like really interesting to see how different brands are like incorporating this.
Very cool.
Yeah. That was it.
Well, thank you, team. That's our July show and tell. We will follow up with you later this week with an email with recording of today's presentation. Of course, along with all the links, you can hop on and follow all the various influencers and whatnot. We will see you next month, I believe, on Wednesday, August 3rd. Until then, have a great month, everyone. Take care. Bye.